Ricardo Lourenco de Oliveira, Instituto Oswaldo Cruz, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I worked with mosquitoes for more than almost 40 years working with mosquito biology, behavior, and interaction between mosquitoes and virus, and Plasmodium also, the malaria parasites. To fight a mosquito, to interrupt transmission, you must focus in the important mosquito that is really the vector. We must target a mosquito species to fight again. So the first step is to discover which is the natural vector. To discover which is the natural vector, we must collect mosquitoes in the houses or around the house of infected people to see if we found mosquito that was naturally infected, and we can find the virus in the saliva or in the body of this mosquito. The other thing we used to do is to infect the mosquitoes in laboratory. We collected local population of mosquitoes. We collected blood and isolated the virus of the same place, and you put the mosquitoes to feed with blood mixed with the virus. And so we follow the infection in the mosquito during 2 weeks to see if the virus goes to the stomach of the mosquito, and it spreads, disseminate to the other parts of the body, and then go to the salivary gland. When the mosquito bites a person, it injects the saliva. At the same time, he gets the blood meal. So it injected the infected saliva, if it is infected, and so a new host will get the infection. So we say that a mosquito is a competent, we say that vector competence is when the mosquito can get the infected blood meal, became infected, the virus disseminated to the body, and go to the saliva and is spilled in the saliva during the blood meal. This is a competent mosquito. So we found competent mosquitoes and non-competent mosquitoes. We found infected mosquitoes naturally and non-infected mosquitoes. So we join these information to decide which is the target species to be fight against Zika transmission, for example. We must control, we must diminish mosquito density and mosquito survival rate. Using insecticide, when the insecticide is proven to be a good insecticide, that it kills most of mosquito in that area, it changes very much from one area to another. And the second thing is that eliminating breeding sites, interfere in the possibility of the female enter and access the water. Or you can put insecticide, but some insecticide you get resistance. So eliminate the water that can be a breeding site is the most important thing. So when we use insecticide and reduce the life of a mosquito, the mosquito that was born cannot transmit the virus because the transmission takes some time. When a mosquito gets infected, get an infected blood meal, to the virus, Zika virus, to arrive in the saliva, take almost 2 weeks. So the mosquito must live 2 weeks. When you reduce the life of a mosquito, you reduce greatly the vector capacity of that area. Okay, the other thing is to reduce the density. We reduce the density when we eliminate the mosquito breeding sites, water, for example. So a small number of mosquito, even the mosquito is very anthropophilic, a small number of mosquito, if the small number is reduced the lifespan, okay, we reduce very rapidly, sharply the vector capacity. That's the main goals of the campaign, to reduce the density by reducing the breeding sites or the possibility of mosquito breed, and reduce the life of mosquito at such an area. The possibility of Zika virus spill back to the forest like yellow fever did in the past. When yellow fever was considered an urban disease that occurred in North America, in Central and South America, in Caribbean, in Africa, etc., in villages, in cities, transmitted by Egypti. During the 1930 or 32, in Brazil, it was discovered that a place without Aedes aegypti there was yellow fever transmission. But how? Because forever yellow fever was transmitted by Aegypti in the cities, but it was a rural area without Aegypti. So they discovered that there was a wild cycle of yellow fever in the American continent. So they go back to see in Africa, and they also found monkeys infected with yellow fever, mosquitoes transmitting yellow fever in the wild in Africa. So we think that slaves infected with the yellow fever virus and the mosquito Aedes aegypti came to the New World together, and so yellow fever spreads all over, mostly in the ports of cities in the Americas. And later, infected humans went to the forest, or mosquitoes that can get out to the forest and come too close to the house of infected people, bite later some non-human primates, monkeys, marmosets. And so now, for example, in the Americas and tropical America, yellow fever is only transmitted into the forests. It's episodic, so there's some episodic events of monkeys dying with the yellow fever, and people like tourists, people that love to hunt, enter the forest and get yellow fever and die by yellow fever. So we are now afraid of Zika virus doing the same of yellow fever, because Zika virus came from Africa, find a good vector, Aegypti, in South America, for example, in Brazil, where some villages and cities are very close to the forest, and people go up and down in the forest, and maybe they can, the virus can split back to the forest. Very recently, some monkeys and marmoset from Northeast Brazil was found naturally infected with the Zika virus. And so probably this event can be started with the Zika virus. Pressure, because by the end of a year, for example, the number of people with antibodies against the Zika virus in such a place is very high. So the virus cannot be transmitted because when infected mosquito bites someone, so the virus cannot develop. So with this pressure, maybe some mosquito that can enter the forest and get out the forest can transmit to the animals to amplify the virus, then a wide cycle start. And I think that Aedes albopictus is a candidate to do that because of its behavior of being in the suburban areas and go to the forest and come back. In Rio, for example, you see that it can reach 1 kilometer from the house and live there and come back. We deliver some albopictus into the forest 1 kilometer and find almost 1 month after that, some come back to the house. When we deliver some mosquito in the house, you find mosquitoes up to 1 kilometer into the forest. So they go back and come back. The velocity is different. The movement between the forest and the house is much more rapidly. Probably because of the house they find much more blood to feed. But they go back to find breeding sites, to lay eggs in tree holes, maybe in bromeliads and other sites. So this is important subject that need to be evaluated. We must always focus in the target species to fight against, say, I mean, we must have in mind that you must evaluate vector capacity, the capacity of transmit by the bite, the vector competence, the ability of the mosquito bite person, live enough to transmit the virus, etc., to focus the control measure against that mosquito, not to lose money and time to trying to fight all mosquito around.